try and understand it. It's a short way to insanity. It's, you know, you can what if yourself. You know, if you left 5 minutes early, if you left 5 minutes late, all of that stuff, but you are just going to send yourself silly. It's the fact that something that shouldn't have happened has happened. It's the fact that somebody we all love so much is not going to come home.
Incredible and senseless. The random shooting of an Australian student sparking calls for tourists from Australia to maybe rethink trips to the U.S. and now fears, as gun violence mounts here, that it will change the perception of how they think of us over there. Not just in Australia. Travel writer Abbamonte says it already has. You talk to a lot of friends abroad, particularly in Australia, and it has, right?
Yeah, I mean, the Australians revere Americans. They love our culture. You know, they follow our politics and everything else. And, you know, they're really the nicest people in the world. And it's so sad to see something so unconscionable such as this, such a random act of violence. It's just terrible.
And what do they say? Like, what do they say? Do they think twice about America now? What?
Well, you know, it's always kind of been like the butt of jokes, so to speak, that America has a lot of guns on the street. And, you know, they hear the worst, of course, you know, all the school shootings and everything else. But this actually really hit home for them, and it's so sad, really, and you know, my thoughts to the family. I mean, it's just terrible. But the Australian people are just appalled, and yeah, there's been calls to boycott American tourism.
All right, how realistic are those calls? In other words, you could certainly understand the immediate, knee-jerk, emotional, angry response, but how much do you think that's going to register?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's going to register in that everyone's going to not come to the United States anymore. Obviously, people have to come, whether it's vacation or business or whatever. But it's definitely going to register in the back of their minds, and people are probably going to think twice. I mean, this is a senseless act of violence. I mean, obviously, it could happen anywhere in the world, but you know, it's a repetitive kind of thing in the United States, whether it's mass shootings or the Boston bombings.
Yeah, but it's still, these kind of, as tragic as they are, they certainly get a lot of media attention. Blessedly, they're more the exception than the rule, but you're right, they do get a lot of media attention. The Trayvon Martin thing got a lot of media attention. Do people then, with that news of gang violence in California, shootings in Chicago, do they avoid places like that, or the places in the United States they will go to, or are they just holding off? What do you think happens?
I think people on the borderline, like on the fence, whether they were thinking about going or not, will not go. But I think the people that were going to come are still going to come. It's the same, I feel like, for Americans, if we're going to talk about going to Egypt, or, you know, maybe not as extreme as Egypt, but something like that. I mean, some people I know don't go to Mexico because of the gang violence along the borders. So I think there's a parallel there.
What about areas they avoid then? You know, you always say that, I've heard from friends that, well, maybe I'm not going to be going to Chicago.
Yeah.
Chicago's a fine city, they've had increased incidents of violence, but that their knee-jerk reaction is, not now.
Well, people said the same thing about New York City in
Indeed.
2001.
Indeed.
And, you know, it took a while for tourism to come back, and thankfully it has. And, you know, we live here, and we know what a great city it is, but when you just hear the negative, whether it's abroad or anywhere else, you think twice about coming. I mean, you know, if I heard something bad happened and, you know, pick a random place around the world, I would think twice about going. It doesn't mean I wouldn't go, but I would certainly take note and do my research about it before I went.
Do you have any worries that we're one or two bizarre incidents short of a real perception problem in the world that people will say no?
Well, I think we have a perception problem in the world. I think we've had it for a while. I think that our perception with guns and violence around the world is very negative. I don't even think you can question that.
Well, the perception doesn't always match the reality, right? Because other countries have mass shootings and the like, we get a lot of the press.
This is true, of course, what happened in Norway, but I mean,
right.
Countries like Australia, Canada, and other countries have taken steps, you know, in order to, you know, alleviate gun violence, whereas we generally have not, and I think that's how a lot of people view us and our laws.
Of course, they have a lot fewer people, too.
This is true.
Yeah, all right. We'll see how it all sorts out. Lee Abbamonte, thank you very, very much. In the meantime, smart, successful, stress. The 20